Not a lot of people care about the Apple Watch, but I do. I actually do. I have a lot of devices, and this one, the Apple Watch, is actually one of my favorite ones. And Apple has just released this week a brand new Apple Watch called the Apple Watch Series 3. Now, this would actually be Apple's 4th generation Apple Watch, not the 3rd one, because we had the original Apple Watch back in 2015, and then the Apple Watch Series 1 and Series 2, both of them released last year, and now we have the Apple Watch Series 3. Now, the Series 3 actually comes with one major feature, and that's cellular support. So what this means is that now you can use your Apple Watch without the need to take your iPhone with you. So it acts as a phone by itself. And in case you've seen my final Leaks and Rumors episode on the Apple Watch Series 3, you probably know all the main features that the Apple Watch Series 3 comes with. And at the event, they've mentioned a lot of features, but I haven't actually mentioned a lot of stuff. So there's quite a lot of things that Apple hasn't talked about, quite a lot of interesting things, and this is what I'm going to cover in this video. So not 5, not 10, not even 15, but actually 25 plus things you probably don't know about the Apple Watch Series 3. So yeah, grab some snacks, such as popcorn or some nuts, and enjoy. Okay, so number one, there are actually two different versions of the Apple Watch Series 3. So there's one version which is GPS, and then you have a second version which is GPS plus cellular. So two different models, but only one of them comes with LTE or cellular support. Then number two, you only get a ceramic back on the Series 3 that comes with GPS and cellular. So on the regular GPS model, you only have a composite back. And a ceramic back is much more durable than the composite one. So you won't be seeing any scratches on it unless, by the way, you use a stainless steel band. So if you have something like a Milanese loop, either silver or space gray, doesn't matter. If you use a Milanese loop, it would actually scratch the ceramic back. It would actually scratch like crazy. Do keep this in mind in case you're planning on getting an Apple Watch ceramic and the Milanese loop. Then number three, Apple has actually increased the storage capacity inside the Apple Watch. So instead of 8 gigabytes, we now get 16 gigabytes of storage, onboard storage. But this is, by the way, this only applies to the GPS plus cellular model. So if you get a Series 3 without cellular, it will only come with 8 gigabytes of storage, pretty much the same as we've had on the original Series 1 and Series 2. Then something really interesting is phone calls on the Apple Watch. So they would actually kill your battery life, obviously pretty quickly, but it's much quicker than you would expect. 1 hour, yes. So you can only talk on the cellular version of the Apple Watch for 1 hour continuously. So it would drain the battery from 100% to 0% in an hour. However, if you use your iPhone to synchronize your calls, so basically the same as you were doing up until now, so without a cellular Apple Watch, that would actually last you for about 3 hours. So definitely keep this in mind in case you want to go for a walk with the Apple Watch or on a camping trip or something. You will only be able to talk for an hour before you drain the battery life on this. And then the amount of RAM has actually been upgraded from 512 megabytes to 768 megabytes, at least according to GSM Arena. And from all the shots that I've seen at the event, the Series 3 actually felt and looked quite a bit quicker and more fluid than even the Series 2. And then finally, Siri now speaks. So previously on the previous generation Apple Watches, you would ask Siri a question, and then you would wait for ages, and then you would just, pick up your iPhone because it was quicker. So Series 2 actually fixed that by making you wait like 3 to 4 seconds before Siri activated, but now Series 3 is even faster than that. So when it comes to Siri, you could just ask it a question and she will also speak, which is a first in an Apple Watch. Now, if you get the Apple Watch Series 3 with cellular, you also need a separate carrier plan, which is going to cost you about $10 or £10 in the UK on top of your current phone plan, by the way, which I actually think it's not worth it unless you're the kind of person that goes out in nature a lot, unlike me, or in the woods, and I know running a lot, and you actually prefer just taking your watch and leaving your phone at home, but you still want to have some sort of cellular connection in case someone calls you, in case someone texts you, or in case you're getting any important calls. So I don't think it's worth it. That's my opinion. Let me know in the comments what do you guys think, and if you would be using a cellular Apple Watch, if you think it would be useful for you. Also, something interesting is the red crown on the Apple Watch Series 3. So at first I actually thought that this was the antenna, but nope, the antenna is actually in the display. So this is just a design thing, to show everyone that, hey, this guy has the cellular Apple Watch. And I don't know, it looks really good on some models, like the ceramic white or the stainless steel, the silver one. but on the black one especially, it doesn't look that good in my opinion. Especially if you have a green or a blue band or some sort of, band that's a bit different, it kind of ruins the design. So let me know in the comments again, what do you guys think about the red crown? I personally don't like it, but again, this is a design preference. And then if you want to get the stainless steel Apple Watch, you'll have to get the GPS plus the cellular one. So there's no regular Series 3 without cellular in stainless steel. That only comes in aluminum. Then speaking of models, there's also a brand new model of the black leather loop, kinda. So do you remember the black leather loop? I even did a separate review on this, by the way, black leather loop review. I think that's by far my favorite band. But Apple removed it. So when they launched the Series 2, they actually removed the black leather loop. And now they have sort of like, a brown one that's kind of black. So they have a new color, but it's not really black, close to black, sort of like space gray, I think. And then I'm not sure how many of you noticed, but the Apple Watch Series 3 is actually thicker than the Series 2. Now, I know. At the event, Apple said that it's the same thickness as the Series 2, but they actually talked about the case. So the actual casing of the Apple Watch is indeed the same dimensions, which is true. But the bar at the bottom, so the sensor bar, that's actually thicker. So it's about 2 to 3 sheets of paper thicker. So it's not a lot, but it's noticeable. Like from the images that I've seen, it's definitely noticeable. So this will make the Apple Watch Series 3 feel thicker on your wrist than the Series 2, which was already thicker than the Series 1, which was already really thick. So yeah. Then also something pretty interesting is the fact that the Series 3 comes with Bluetooth 4.2 instead of Bluetooth 4.0 like we had with the Series 2 and before, or Bluetooth 5.0 like we have on the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10. So Bluetooth 4.2 basically means a better and stronger signal. So less connection drops, from the iPhone. So pretty useful feature to have more connection, better connection with the iPhone. And something that I'm not sure how many of you have noticed is the price. So the Apple Watch is actually pretty expensive now. It's a 1-to-1 pricing ratio in the UK. So same price as in the US, in the UK, just in pounds, which is crazy. And in some cases, it's even higher in the UK and in Europe than in the US. So if you take a look at the Apple Watch Hermes collection, that one's actually £1,200 in the UK compared to $1,150. So crazy expensive. And yes, the Series 3 with cellular now starts at $400 or £400, and that's for the aluminum model, making this basically the most expensive, cheap Apple Watch yet. And then the Apple Watch also comes with a barometer included. So this is a new sensor that's included in the Series 3. You don't have this on the Series 2, by the way, and it's a sensor for measuring altitude. So if you do a lot of climbing and so on, it's pretty useful. But then again, if you do a lot of climbing and you go out in nature and, I don't know, climb the Everest, you probably have an iPhone with you anyways. And you use it to take photos. And the iPhone 6 and newer, so all the iPhones from 6 and newer, they already have a barometer included. So you don't really need an Apple Watch if you have an iPhone 6 or newer. And I'm guessing all of you will just, take it on your trips because you want to take photos. So that's my guess. That's my opinion. I don't think it's, it's a major feature of the Apple Watch Series 3, a barometer. Don't get the Apple Watch Series 3 just for that. You already have it on your iPhone. Then next up, the Apple Watch Series 3 with cellular would actually use the same phone number as your iPhone. So you won't have a new phone number. It will be the same phone number. So in case someone calls you, same phone number, no changes. Now, if you want to use your Apple Watch while you're at the gym and you have some AirPods, you can actually listen to music without having a cellular Apple Watch Series 3. So if you have any Apple Watch without cellular, you can already do this. So if you go onto your Apple Watch app on your iPhone, and if you go to music, you can actually select different playlists or the last played songs and so on to sync. And you can actually have hundreds of songs. I believe it's up to 4 gigabytes of storage on your Apple Watch, which is quite a lot. So the question is, do you actually need a constant internet connection on your Apple Watch? My guess is if you have a lot of pretty good playlists, not really, you don't actually need one. And now the Apple Watch can actually detect if your heart rate rises suddenly. So it will also detect a heart rate or several heart diseases. Now this is coming in WatchOS 4.0, and this will be available on pretty much every single Apple Watch model. So you don't need a Series 3 for this. Now, speaking of the Series 3, it also comes with an electronic SIM. So you don't have to insert a SIM or something, it's electronic. So it kind of works in the exact same way as CDMA phones work, if you know anything about CDMA phones. You don't need to insert any SIM. The SIM is automatically registered. The only difference is that it's not locked to a network, so you can just switch it anytime you wish. And then the Series 3 also comes with a brand new processor. So this is an Apple S3 processor. It's still a dual-core processor, but it's up to 70% faster than the one in the Series 2, which is quite impressive. So 70% faster than the S2 one inside the Series 2. And it also comes with a brand new chip, a brand new wireless chip. It's called the Apple W2 wireless chip instead of the W1 chip that we had on the previous generation. And this basically allows you to have better connectivity when it comes to connecting to your AirPods, for example, or any wireless headset that comes with a W chip. And then water resistance is the same as before. So it's 50 meters of depth, by the way, but Apple states on their website that it should only be used for swimming in shallow water, in clear water or ocean water, which is a bit interesting. So even though it can support 50 meters of pressure, they don't say anything about the actual water pressure, which is a bit interesting. By the way, in the US and UK, water damage is not covered under warranty, which is ridiculous. If you think about it, Apple claims that this watch can be used for swimming, and they even have swimming workouts. But if it breaks, and if you don't have Apple Care, well, that's it. You have to buy a new one. And if you have, a ceramic edition, a special edition, an Apple Watch edition, which is quite expensive, or not even to mention a gold one, but those were the original series. If you have a pretty expensive Apple Watch, then you're out of luck. You'll have to buy a new one, which really, really sucks. The only actual way to fix this is with Apple Care Plus. So with Apple Care, you can actually count this as an accidental damage. You will have to pay, I think it's £80 or about $50 to $80, and you can get it fixed. But still, it will still count as an accidental damage if it breaks and let's say you were swimming with it, which again is ridiculous considering that this was designed to be used in a swimming workout. And by the way, all of these carriers support the Apple Watch, the stellar Apple Watch Series 3 at the moment. Now, these are the countries, the carriers, and the more carriers will be added soon. So if you don't see it on the list, don't worry, it will be available eventually. Now, the next thing that I want to mention is when it comes to GPS. So GPS, yes, it's still available on the non-cellular model. So similar to the Apple Watch Series 2, if you don't have a cellular-enabled Apple Watch Series 3, you will still have GPS on the regular one. So GPS is still going to be there. So if you go for a walk or for a run, it will still track your movement and it will just update that when it connects to the internet. Okay, so essentially, if you're upgrading from the Series 2, all you get is a 70% faster processor, which is pretty useful, a barometer, which I don't think is that useful because you have it on your iPhone anyways. Then Siri being able to speak, that's pretty cool, but it's not really that useful. And then you get 16 gigabytes of storage if you get the GPS plus the cellular model. So in the end, let me know in the comments if you think it's worth it or not. And finally, in case you're wondering, the Apple Watch, the cellular one is not locked to a carrier. So if you ever thought that you would need to be locked to a carrier when you purchase this, that's not really the case. So it will use the same number as your Apple Watch. You're not stuck to a specific carrier. You're only stuck to the carrier that is supported in your country when it comes to the cellular Apple Watch. So if a new carrier in your country will support Apple Watch, the cellular one in the future, you could just switch to that if you wish. You're not linked to a specific carrier. But yeah, there you go. 25 plus things about the Apple Watch Series 3. So this was a pretty interesting video that I wanted to make because I'm an Apple Watch fan, so to say. I really like this device. Let me know in the comments if you have an Apple Watch, which series do you have, and if you plan on upgrading to the Series 3, and if so, why? Also, remember to subscribe if you want to see more interesting videos like this one. It's free. And also, speaking of free stuff, it's also free to enable notifications on my channel. You can do that by simply tapping on the bell icon, and you'll be notified whenever I upload a brand new epic video. Feel free to give this video a like if you have enjoyed it to let me know. And yeah, this has been pretty much it. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the Apple Watch Series 3? Do you think it's worth it or not? I personally think it's not really, unless you really need that cellular. But I don't think most people will. But yeah, this has been pretty much it. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in my next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.